That's happening now, West Virginia.
Y'all done messed up. I'm glad I started early. So I hope my sound is okay. You guys throw a comment in the comment section. I have turned my phone off for the day, so I am going to check the sound. I did start a few minutes early. You guys, my name is Regina Connell with Wild and Wired Media. So we are changing things up over here at West Virginia Wire. If I could figure out my stuff here. So I'm behind the camera today. You guys won't be seeing my face. It's a chilled Saturday. So I thought, what better time than to pick back up with Killing Jesus, A History by Bill O'Reilly and Martin Dugard. But before we do that, I was thinking about Charlie Kirk. You know, he's been on my heart. And so I did do a tribute to him some months back. And I have read his book, Stop in the Name of God. Let me put that up on the screen for you guys. If I still have it up here, my gracious. Yes, right here. Why isn't it showing? There it is. Stop in the name of God. So I have read it, and he speaks heavily on the Sabbath and honoring the Sabbath and all of that. It was a great book. It was very repetitious, which I kind of like. I like the power of repetition. So you guys, I hope my sound is good while I check that. I'm gonna go ahead and play the video, just the intro part, the first part of it. And we miss you, Charlie Kirk. And so we have you lifted in your family in prayer, you guys. And then I'm going to play some music from an artist that I'm very inspired by. He's right here on the X platform. His name is Unconfined. And I'm going to show you guys that right now. And he's on Apple Music. He's on YouTube. He's everywhere. And I really like his affirmation posts that he does, his little videos. I do subscribe to him. And he's just a good guy. I mean, I've never met him in person or anything like that, but from, you can kind of tell things, discernment, whatever. So this is Mr. Unconfined, and we're going to listen to a song that he recently released. He's always putting music out, and I like his music. I like his videos. So without further ado, let's play that song from Unconfined. I was going to make y'all guess who it was, but I'm not going to do that to y'all. So we'll go ahead and listen to that song. Then we'll watch the snippet of the video that I put together for Mr. Charlie Kirk back when all of that happened. So I think I have sound while we're doing all that, listening to Mr. Unconfined. I'm going to be checking sound. Remember, my phone is off, so I'm going to have to check in other ways. So without further ado, let's get started. I've got him over here. So he's on YouTube Music. So that's him right there. And let's go.
All I wanted to do was end everything and walk away from shit. You know what I mean? Like how Scarface and all them niggas do. I want to get out the game. I'm trying to get out the game. They're going to dirty up my memory. They're going to dirty up everything I worked for. So it made me come back. Instead of quitting, it made me come back more relentless to destroy.
They threw dirt on my name but didn't know that I'm a seed. Watered by the pain, now I'm growing from the greed. I used to plot late, thoughts heavy, never liked dreaming about getting back like karma owed me a night. Built a war in my mind, swinging pride like a sword. While God tried to get me to let him settle the score. See, revenge feels sweet, but the aftertaste is sour. You lose peace, chasing power, minutes feel like hours. Now I rise past some silence, it's the best retaliation. Every win's a sermon, success is my vindication. They expected the fall, I rewrote the prediction. Turned pain into scripture, my purpose the inscription. Ain't no need for a knife when you shine so loud. Karma got patience and it's stuck in the crowd. Now I toast to my growth, no rage in the cup. God don't miss shots, so I let him hit him up. I used to want payback, now I pray they see me winning. Used to plot revenge, now it's peace that got me grinning. Every scar that they gave me turned into something golden. Now my soul's too free to ever stay beholden. They love to hate in silence, I'll lie with no permission. God handles violence, I just focus on the vision. Ain't no getting even, I'm too even with the grace. Every dub I take is karma, smiling in their face. They crossed me clean, left scars under my sleeve. Had me praying for revenge before I prayed to believe. But every time I plotted, blessings slipped through my grip. You can't sail to heaven with resentment on the ship. I was drowning in anger or betrayal like fashion, till I learned that forgiveness gotta hide your reaction. The ones wishing my fall barely stand where they stood. When you rooted in peace, even storms do you good. Now I stay moving in silence, my winds do the talking. The tables turn easy, I ain't even start walking. Hate ages quick, love is timeless and fluid. They rot in revenge while I'm growing right through. Every scar that they gave turned my faith into proof. You can't fight God's plan, no matter what's the truth. Let them slander, let them whisper, let them envy and unwind. Revenge ain't mine to take, God's justice is divine. I used to want payback, now I pray they see me winning. Used to plot revenge, now it's peace that
Okay, guys, our sound is good. I had difficulty checking without my phone on. The temptation to turn it on is killing me. But let's continue on. We're going to finish listening to the song by Unconfined. I did put it in the comment section on the X platform. I'll do the same here on YouTube as soon as I get done juggling everything. You guys, thanks for joining. Again, my name is Regina Connell with Wild and Wired Media LLC right here in Wild and Wonderful, Almost Heaven, West Virginia. So let's continue on, you guys. Remember, I did start a little bit early. We're going to finish listening to Mr. Unconfined's song. It's a fantastic song. It kind of fits how I'm feeling. It's called God's Justice. And it would be neat to sit down with him and just say, what were you, how are you feeling when you wrote these songs? Do you want to share what might have been going on in your life? Like, very inspiring music. So anyway, however we can find a creative outlet, I always try to do that. Mine is my nose in a book reading. So I did want to do a huge shout out and a special thanks to Raging Rigo, Triple R. He does pop-up spaces, and he's every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 11 a.m. Pacific, and all that subject to change, you guys. I'll show you all that information later. Okay, so we're reading Killing Jesus, A History by Bill O'Reilly and Martin Dugard. This is a secular book. It's not a religious book. So the faith is optional, you guys. So without further ado, let's finish listening to this song. Then we'll play the snippet of the video honoring Charlie Kirk, and then we'll jump right in. We're going to start we got part of the way through chapter 17, so we're going to pick up where I believe we left off. And I really think it's a better place to pick up anyway, because this chapter does get really, really brutal. So it'll give some context. Remember, we are in book 3 of Killing Jesus, A History by Bill O'Reilly and Martin Dugard. It's a part of a vast series called the Killing series that they have. We also read Killing Kennedy, The End of Camelot, as well as Killing Lincoln, the shocking assassination that changed America forever. So I'm getting my voice back. So I thought, let's play these couple of things, honor some people, and then we'll jump right in. All right, let's keep going. My tongue is tied. Sorry about that. All right. Thank you, Mr. Unconfined. And we don't have much more to go on this.
They got me grinning, every scar that they gave me turned into something golden. Now my soul's too free to ever stay beholden. They love to hate in silence, I'll lie with no permission. God handles violence, I just focus on the vision. Ain't no getting even, I'm too even with the grace. Every dub I take is karma, smiling in their face.
So that's why I attack as though I do, because I'm a general and I'm a smart general, and I'm not gonna attack at no blind soldiers. I'm attacking those attacking me.
All right, guys, great song. Let's go on over to, and I'm not going to play the whole video. Like I said, I'm just going to play the intro, probably through the song. I'll probably get, hey, we can't monetize you. And I'm okay with that. So let's keep going. This is for you, Charlie Kirk, and the Kirk family. Thank you.
Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done. I said the Lord's Prayer. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. And I asked Usha what Erica had said to her earlier in the day in a private moment, and I asked Erica's permission to share this. My wife told me, she asked me for advice.
Thank you, Noodles.
Erica asked me for advice on how she should tell children that their father had been murdered.
All right, let's go. Thank you for commenting. Thank you.
Fears got me living with the lights out, chained down like a prisoner in my own house. Shame cycles like a deadly medication. I try, but I can't change my situation. Cause that liar comes to rob my joy. Yeah, I'm bruised, but I'm not destroyed. I'm rising like an army, and you're gonna hear the sound. I'm calling the angels down.
We're storming the gates of hell.
Tell the devil he don't own my soul. I'm taking back what the enemy stole. I'm raising the battle cry. I'm holding the banner high. With the power of the Holy Ghost, I'm taking back what the enemy stole. Oh, you can't speak your lies over my family now. You can't break the promises that I'm standing on. Ain't got a flex to put you back in your place now. My name is all I gotta say. Jesus. I'm calling the angels down. I'm storming the gates of hell. Tell the devil he don't own my soul. He don't own my soul. I'm taking back what the enemy stole. I'm raising the battle cry. I'm raising up, holding the banner high. I'm holding with the power of the Holy Ghost. The Holy Ghost. I'm taking back what the enemy stole.
You guys, this is the way I honor that family. And, you know, some of you may be asking, oh, why aren't you doing, you know, why aren't you speaking up, speaking out, posting about Candace Owens and, you know, the whole Erica Kirk situation? This is my response. When we do that, we forget about Charlie's legacy. And I believe that's all Erica Kirk is trying to do is uphold his legacy. We are not in her shoes. And I'm not in Candace Owens' shoes either. I definitely wouldn't want to be. I don't understand her actions. But anyway, this isn't about them. This is about Jesus, which is the message I believe that Charlie Kirk was trying to spread to the world. And I do believe he gave everyone a voice. So anyway, that's all I have to say about that. Noodles, thank you so much for coming through and commenting. I do love Jesus as well. And the hearts, yeah, I mean, call me a Jesus freak, whatever. So let's finish watching this. And then we're going to jump back in and finish out chapter 7 of Killing Jesus, A History. It's a very fascinating book. And I'll tell you another fascinating book we're jumping back into chronologically is the Christian Holy Bible. You guys, we have included non-canonical books in that, and recently it was the Book of Enoch. So you guys, thanks for joining. My name is Regina Condell with Wild and Wired Media, formerly known as West Virginia Wire. We are still in West Virginia, and have no plans nor intentions of leaving. Okay, let's continue on, and then we'll get started back into the book. We're almost done too, guys. We only have 21 chapters.
Taking my peace back. Taking my joy back. Now you can't have taking back what the enemy stole. We're done with all the mind games. You try to play if it ain't clear yet. I want everything you took from me. In the name of the one who is peace, the one who heals our disease. The only reason that I am free, that name is Jesus, Lord of Lords and King of Kings.
Yeshua and Joseph. Most beautiful name.
I said the Lord's Prayer. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. And I asked Usha what Erica had said to her earlier in the day in a private moment, and I asked Erica's permission to share this. My wife told me, she asked me for advice. Erica asked me for advice on how she should tell children that their father had been murdered.
Fears got me living with the lights out, chained down like a prisoner in my own house. Shame cycles like a deadly medication. I try but I can't change my situation, 'cause that liar comes to rob my joy. Yeah, I'm bruised but I'm not destroyed. I'm rising like an army and you're gonna hear the sound. I'm calling the angels down.
We're storming the gates of hell.
Tell the devil he don't own my soul. He don't own my soul. I'm taking back what the enemy stole.
All right, guys, let's get started. So we are reading Killing Jesus. I am behind the camera today. I will not be showing my face. I will be pinning your comments once I pop my head up and stuff like that. I believe that X, formerly known as Twitter, has been experiencing some issues. I keep getting error messages every time I go live, not directly from the application, but from the StreamYard. So you guys, let's jump in. So remember, Jesus has been arrested. He's now being sharply questioned, interrogated, whatever. And remember, all this is against the law, on both laws, Jewish law, Roman law, all of it. So they're kind of passing Jesus around because none of them, want to take the ultimate fault or have the ultimate responsibility of saying that they were the ones who sentenced Jesus to his death. So we're going to learn more about that. Remember, this is a secular book, not a religious book. This book is by Bill O'Reilly and Martin Dugard. It is called Killing Jesus, A History. So you guys, This is non-religious. Faith is optional. So our faith is in Jesus Christ. We are followers of the way. And you guys remember April 13th, we're going to be launching out. We're picking up where we left off. So we left off with the book of Enoch. And if you guys want to go back, we started out at Genesis 1:1. Remember, you guys, the Bible is not put together chronologically. So without further ado, let's jump into this book. And we're not even halfway through chapter 17. Really, it's kind of a long chapter. And we only have 5 chapters left. This has 21 chapters, 3 books in it. And so let's get going. I think we have about 10 pages. So Jesus has been arrested, and so Caiaphas and his father, and the Sanhedrin Council, the Jewish Council, all of them are getting together to figure out what to do with Jesus, right? So let's start with everything about Jesus's interrogation is illegal. It takes place that night. Jesus is asked to incriminate himself without a lawyer, and Annas has no authority to pass sentence. It is also highly unusual for a prisoner to be brought to the high priest's personal residence rather than to the prison cells at the Roman barracks. But Jesus has committed a grave offense. He interrupted the flow of funds from the temple to Rome when he flipped over the money changers' tables. The pipeline is the personal responsibility of Annas. And remember, they were strongly taxed by Rome as well. So it didn't matter what their income was. It wasn't based off of what they made, through their business. I believe they had a flat tax they had to pay. So, and then in turn, the high temple priests and stuff like that were turning around and heavily taxing their citizens. And in addition to that, they were selling blemished sacrificial animals, knowing they were blemished, knowing that the patrons that purchased them would have to come back and purchase another one. So it's really some egregious acts that were going on, source of corruption. So anyway, let's continue on. So no longer are the high priests autonomous. It is a lesson. Oh wait, I'm on the wrong page. Sorry, guys. That was the other one, but it's true. It's true. Maybe I was supposed to float on over there. Okay, let's continue. All right. So he committed the grave offense. He disrupted the funding flow. And so Rome's mad about it. The high priests are mad about it. If you hear the dogs barking, sorry about that. So the pipeline is the personal responsibility of Annas. Anyone interfering with the profit taking must be punished. That, of course, includes Jesus and every single one of his disciples. Annas is determined that this will be a cautionary tale for anyone who considers challenging the authority of the temple courts. Now, you guys remember, so they seek to make an example of Jesus as well. And he keeps saying, what grave offense have I committed? I haven't told anybody to praise me. I talk about the Father. We worship the same God. What's going on here? So, and prophecy is being fulfilled. And we'll talk about that later. We'll talk about that when we start reading the Bible chronologically. And I'll remind everybody, please do not let anyone read your Bible for you. Yes, it's fun, corporate worship, whatever. It is a very private journey. It is. So let's keep going. So, these dogs, I'm so sorry. So a man like Annas is used to people bowing and scraping in his presence. Sorry for that tone. But it is clear that Jesus will not genuflect to any man. Pardon me. Moon Dev, if you're watching, I do have sound. I just had to mute myself for a second. So anyway, let's keep going. So, and despite Jesus's weakened condition, he is still capable of great feats of intellect. Perhaps some time alone with the temple guards will change Jesus's attitude. As a former high priest, Annas has no jurisdictional powers. And I'll remind you guys, if you remember earlier on, they can't even keep their ceremonial garb that belongs to their heritage, their lineage. The Romans kind of leased them out to them. They're only allowed to have them. So the Romans keep them for them They don't even, all the beautiful clothing that they wear for the Passover events, ritual clothing, is not even kept in their own temples and stuff. It's kept by under Roman guard, and they're only allowed to wear it for that certain amount of time, and then they have to give it back. So I don't know what that speaks to y'all. Let me know in the comment section, you guys, when we pop our head up from reading. And remember, we've got 2 more books to review. I spoke about Son of Hamas by Musab Hassan Youssef and Ron Bracken, and we did read the follow-up From Hamas to American Man. Heart grieves for you, Mr. Musab. It seems he's happy and at peace now, but he went through a lot, and I'm glad he shared the story with us. So without further ado, this is about Jesus, the man, Jesus of Nazareth. So remember, this is not a religious book. It is a secular one. So this is Killing Jesus, A History by Bill O'Reilly and Martin Dugard. And they never refer to Jesus as the Messiah. They simply refer to him as Jesus of Nazareth of Galilee. And I think that's all he really simply wanted to be referred to as. Okay, let's keep going. These dogs, I don't know. I might have to go check on them. If I do, I'll play something quick. So forgive me. Okay, guys. So, they're trying to figure out what to do with Jesus. So now they're going to use an intimidation tactic. Annas is thinking maybe if I, send him with the Roman temple guards, they'll slap him around a little bit and he'll start confessing to what I want him to confess to. So there is an asterisk mark. We'll read that Annas was killed by poor Jewish rebels who were engaging in an act of class warfare against the wealthy high priest. The historian Josephus wrote that Ananus was, quote, butchered in the heart of Jerusalem, end quote. He goes on to claim that this was one of the key events that eventually led to the temple's destruction by the Romans. And I do remember we did read this, and sorry, my chair is bumping up against the microphone stand. So I do remember us reading this last time when I started chapter 17, and I had to cut it off kind of short. We had a very chaotic house. My voice was not fully in order, and it still isn't, but I'm working on that. And this is a good way of practicing. It's supposed to be a pretty day, about 60 degrees. So I'm going to run outside. You guys, I'll remind you, any of you that have my personal information, my phone is off today. I will get back to you. You guys know I'm pretty on top of my DMs and requests and stuff like that. So here we go. So, wow, this is so crazy. Let's see. Yeah, he cannot pass sentence. Oh, wait, we left off with. Oh, yeah. Perhaps some time alone with the temple guards will change Jesus's attitude. As a former high priest, Annas has no jurisdictional power. So that's when we talked about, they don't even get to keep their own ritual clothing that's of their faith, right? They have to give it back after the Romans let them have their Passover feast and stuff. So he cannot pass sentence, particularly in matters concerning sedition or insurrection, for that power belongs solely to Rome. Thus, Annas secretly orders a gang of temple guards to escort Jesus to a quiet place on the palace grounds where they might spend some time together. Jesus, still bound, is led away. An urgent call goes out through Jerusalem. The high religious court of the Sanhedrin must assemble immediately. So, yeah. So remember, guys, so when we read the Bible chronologically, we do not read just from one translation. We've gotten challenged on that a lot. We do read from 3 translations. The first one being the NIV, New International Version. That's Rusty's choice of reading. And so the published date on that was 1966. So I don't know how that speaks to you. If you guys ever read the intro and, when something was published, how it got published, why it was updated, translated. It's very interesting, some of the things that you will find. So 1966 published date on that. So then we read the King James Version. I prefer that one simply because it's very poetic and all of that. So the published date on that, 1611. Then we also read from the Geneva Bible, which is also known as the Ethiopian Bible, original published date, I believe 1560, and we read the 1599 version. So with that said, the King James version is translated from Greek, and then the Ethiopian, the Geneva Bible is translated from Sanhedrin, and that's important. And I always say look for the similarities, not the difference. All right, let's keep going. So yeah, he's ordered. So there is an asterisk. I'll go ahead and take the time to read it because it's very interesting. The guards on duty this night were the Levites, who served as the temple's police force. Under normal circumstances, they served as gatekeepers to the temple entrances, patrolled by the temple grounds day and night, and stood watch at one of the 21 posts in the court of the Gentiles. They also served at the disposal of the Sanhedrin, making arrests and meting out punishments, and were quite used to providing muscle for the chief priest. So they sound basically like mercenaries to me. I don't know. What do you guys think? So these actions were carried out so commonly that many Jewish groups complained about the constant abuse of power by aristocratic priests and their temple guards. The Dead Sea Scrolls, Josephus, and later rabbinic texts chronicled these abuses. Now, remember, a lot has been uncovered because the published date of this book, I believe, is like 2011 or maybe just after. Well, let me look. Shoot, it's right here. So this book came out in 2013 is the copyright date on it for this edition. And so, I mean, that's a long time ago. All right, let's keep going. So while Jesus, still bound, is led away, an urgent call goes out through Jerusalem. The high religious court of the Sanhedrin must assemble immediately. Jesus cannot see. The night is dark, and the blindfold covering his eyes shuts even the minimal light of the small fires. So sorry. I think the mailman might be here or something. Wow. These dogs. You guys. I'm so sorry. So I told you I was lounging around today. Let me see if they quiet down. I think the neighbors might be coming in and out. If not, I'll do something, play something until they be quiet. I think I hear. Oh dear. Sorry. I think they quieted down, maybe. Check my sound real quick. Testing. Oh, testing. Let's see. Oh yeah, we're good. Okay. I don't think they're coming through really bad. So you guys throw it in the comment section if my dogs are annoying, and I will definitely go try to take care of business. I do need to get through this chapter because I do have to take them outside. You guys, thanks for joining. My name is Regina Connell with Wild and Wired Media. We're so glad to have you. We're just chilling on a Saturday.
Wait, that's happening.
A minute, I didn't mean to do that. So I've kind of gotten away from, reading books word for word. That's how I kind of started when I started the YouTube channel. We are right in the middle of rebranding. So hang tight with us, you guys. I've got more content coming. So let's go. So, wow, this is hard to read. Disclaimer, very graphic and all of that. Okay, let me put this back up here so you guys know what we're doing. Here. So when the world goes mad, Regina reads, and today we are finishing out chapter 7 of Killing Jesus, A History. So let's get going. So Jesus cannot see. The night is dark, and the blindfold covering his eyes shut out even the minimal light of the small fires. And remember, they went into great detail about, John the Baptist's prison. It was like in Iraq. It was horrible. And I just can't even imagine what he probably looked like. No exposure to light. They never let him out. Anyway, let's keep going. So, but he can hear extremely well, and the words directed at him are clearly meant to break his spirit. prophecy. A temple guard calls out scornfully. Jesus is staggered by another hard punch. Who hit you? The guard mocks. Fists and kicks come from all sides. There is no escape and no respite. Who hit you? The guards call out again and again, landing more blows. Who hit you? Who hit you? The beating goes on for hours until the temple guards become too tired to continue their savage game. By the time Jesus is led back into Annas' home, sorry guys, I don't know why they do this to me. Hold on. Y'all, let me go make sure no one's at the door. That could be a possibility. And my phone is off today, so I don't know what these crazy dogs are barking at, but we're gonna find out. I mean, I know y'all can hear them in the background. There's no way you can't. Oh, these crazy, crazy dogs. These crazy, crazy dogs. I think they're gonna quiet down. Okay, so it must have just been a car going by. Sorry about that, guys. All right, let's keep going. So let's see. So they're playing a horrible game. They're passing him back and forth, going, "Oh, who's hitting you? Who's hitting you?" Knowing he's bound, he can't defend himself, any of that. So the beating goes on for hours. By the time Jesus is led back into Annas' home to confront the Sanhedrin in yet another illegal trial, he is bloodied and bruised. His face is swollen. Exhaustion and weakness caused by a loss of plasma make it difficult for him to stand, let alone form the coherent arguments that might save him. Yet, once again, the bound and beaten Jesus must rise before his accusers and argue for his life. In the most weakened state, I just added that. So Jesus appears before the Sanhedrin, no longer blindfolded. It is impossible to tell whether all 71 members of the religious court are crowded into the room, but he has not been taken to the temple courts as law requires. Instead, the clerics surround him in the residential warmth of Annas' palace home, where Jesus can clearly see the mosaic floors and the fashionable painting hanging from the walls. Bruises over Jesus' body and face, and he has not eaten since the Last Supper. Yet the beating and the mocking have not broken his spirit. Despite the late hour, news of Jesus' arrest has made its way around Jerusalem. A small crowd now gathers in the courtyard, warming themselves by the fire pits. A second group stands outside the palace's gates, waiting for any news. Two of the disciples have had second thoughts about abandoning Jesus and have braved arrest to be here. So they've risked arrest to go check on things. They stand among a number of men loyal to Caiaphas. Jesus watches as one by one Caiaphas's sycophants come in and blah, blah, blah. Caiaphas's sycophants come in out of the cold to falsely testify against him. They stand before the Sanhedrin and brazenly lie about Jesus, spinning stories about things he said and done, spinning stories about things he has said and done. The members of the Sanhedrin listen closely, waiting for one accusation that might allow them to pass the death sentence. Wow. So in the asterisk, Peter is mentioned by the name. In John 18:15, the passage references another disciple, though not by name, based on his vivid depiction of that night's events. It is widely believed that John was the individual. Okay, very interesting to know. They tolerate the litany of lies, trusting that an accusation worthy of a death sentence will eventually be revealed in these proceedings, even if it takes all night. Now remember, they're under a time constraint too, according to Jewish law. If sentence isn't passed by a certain time and the death sentence is administered, then they aren't allowed to administer it for a certain time. You guys, that was way back in I think book 2. So I have to go check on these dogs. You guys, I'm so sorry about this. We are going to finish this chapter out, but I have to make sure no one's at the door. I do have my phone off. So give me just a moment. I'm going to play I'm going to play a video for you. And I just say that we're honoring Charlie. So I'm going to play the intro. It probably won't play all the way through. If you guys want to check it out, it is on my YouTube channel, Wild and Wired Media, right here. So we're switching things up, you guys. This is going to change too. We're doing it slowly but surely. So thanks for hanging with us, you guys. If you want to throw a comment, when I come back, I'll check them and get them pinned. If you have a channel yourself, let us know. We'll give you a huge shout out. Give everybody a shout out. All right, guys, let's keep going. Back this up.
I said the Lord's Prayer. Our Father
I'll be
who art
back,
in
guys.
heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. And I asked Usha what Erica had said to her earlier in the day in a private moment, and I asked Erica's permission to share this. My wife told me, she asked me for advice. Erica asked me for advice on how she should tell her children that their father had been murdered.
Fears got me living with the lights out, chained down like a prisoner in my own house. Shame cycles like a deadly medication. I try but I can't change my situation, 'cause that liar comes to rob my joy. Yeah, I'm bruised but I'm not destroyed. I'm rising like an army and you're gonna hear the sound. I'm calling the angels down.
We're storming the gates of hell.
Tell the devil he don't own my soul. I'm taking back what the enemy stole. I'm raising the battle cry. I'm holding the banner high with the power of the Holy Ghost. I'm taking back what the enemy stole. You can't speak in lies over my family now. You can't break the promises that I'm standing on. Ain't got a flex to put you back in your place now. One name is all I gotta say. Jesus, I'm calling the angels down.
Okay, guys. You guys, I have to take these hound dogs out. I'm going to let this play as long as I come back in. I'll come back in. You guys, I am behind the camera today, but I will flash it real quick. I'm a real person. How you guys doing? So I got to take the dogs out, those stupid old dogs. So bear with me. We're going to finish chapter 17 of Killing Jesus. And thank you all for coming through. If you want to drop a comment, I'll get it pinned as soon as I come back. Let me take this off because this always drives me nuts. And this layout, I'm going to have to really work with this StreamYard layout. It's driving me nuts because, oh, 1 minute, I can't see anything. Here we go. Gotta fix it. Okay. All right. Yes, that's much better. Okay, guys, bear with me. We're going to finish playing this video. Well, not finish it, if I can get the layout right. Yeah, we're not going to finish playing it, but we're going to play it as far as we can. I got to take the dogs out, and then we'll be right back. You guys, thanks for joining. My name is Regina Connell with Wild and Wired Media, and when the world goes mad, Regina reads. Today we are reading Killing Jesus, chapter 17. A history. This is a secular book, not a religious one. So they never refer to Jesus as the Messiah. It's by Bill O'Reilly and Martin Dugard and part of a vast series. Okay, guys, I'm going to stop rambling on so we can get back to this book. I hope you enjoy this video and let's go.
In the gates of hell, tell the devil he don't own my soul. He don't own my soul. I'm taking back what the enemy stole. I'm raising the battle cry. I'm raising up, holding the banner high. I'm holding with the power of the Holy Ghost. Holy Ghost. I'm taking back what the enemy stole. Taking my peace back.
I said the Lord's Prayer. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. And I asked Usha what Erica had said to her earlier in the day in a private moment, and I asked Erica's permission to share this. My wife told me, she asked me for advice. Erica asked me for advice on how she should tell children that their father had been murdered.
Fears got me living with the lights out, chained down like a prisoner in my own house. Shame cycles like a deadly medication. I try but I can't change my situation, cause that liar comes to rob my joy. Yeah, I'm bruised but I'm not destroyed. I'm rising like an army and you're gonna hear the sound. I'm calling the angels down.
We're storming the gates of hell.
Tell the devil he don't own my soul. I'm taking back what the enemy stole. I'm raising the battle cry. I'm holding the banner high with the power of the Holy Ghost. I'm taking back what the enemy stole. You can't speak your lies over my family now. You can't break the promises that I'm standing on. Ain't got a flex to put you back in your place now. My name is all I gotta say. Jesus, I'm calling the angels down. I'm storming the gates of hell. Tell the devil he don't own my soul. He don't own my soul. I'm taking back what the enemy stole. I'm raising the battle cry. I'm raising up, holding the banner high. I'm holding with the power of the Holy Ghost. Holy Ghost. Taking back what the enemy stole. Taking my peace back. Taking my job back. Now you can't have taking back what the enemy stole. We're done with all the mind games. You try to play if it ain't clear yet. I want everything you took from me. In the name of the one who is peace, the one who heals all disease. The only reason that I am free, that name is Jesus, Lord of lords and King of kings.
Yeshua and Joseph. Most beautiful name. Charlie Kirk. It's for you, man.
I'm storming the gates of hell. Tell the devil he don't own my soul. I'm taking back what the enemy stays in the battle cry. I'm raising up, holding the banner.
Now, I have heard many calls in the last few days for unity and for healing in the wake of Charlie's assassination. You have no idea how desperately I want that, how gratified I was when Democratic friends and even former Senate colleagues reached out to offer their condolences to me. I'm so thankful. And I know there are so many like them all across our great country. I am desperate to wrap my arms around them as we all unite to condemn political violence and the ideas that cause it. Psalm 133 tells us, "Behold how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. It is like the precious ointment upon the head." Oh, how badly have I craved that precious ointment in recent days, and I believe we can have it. But first, we must tell the truth.
Yes.
It's the only way to honor Charlie. For what was he, if not a man who told the truth in every place, in every environment?
Honor.
Now, the most important truth Charlie told is this, that long ago a man, begotten, not made, came down from heaven and by the Holy Spirit was incarnate of the Virgin Mary and became man. For our sake, he was crucified under Pontius Pilate and suffered death and was buried and rose again on the third day. Charlie believed, as I do, that all the truth he told flowed from that fundamental principle.
I mean, I think you're going to probably start talking about how there's higher enlistment numbers.
Yeah, not only that.
Hegseth.
So recruitment in the military is up majorly. Thank you, Pete Hegseth. He's doing a pretty good job. Number
Thank
two,
you, Pete.
Procurement, we're saving money. Estimates are that we'll save hundreds of billions of dollars in efficiency. War games are up. The amount of war games we're doing in the Southeast Pacific has increased by 30%. This is a military town here in San Diego. They have a massive increase in people wanting to join the Navy, want to join the military. That wasn't happening under Biden. Morale is actually 30 points higher now that Pete Hegseth, a warfighter's warfighter, is running the U.S. military.
We have a complete difference. We're never going to agree on that.
Not agree, but then prove the evidence. What is one number that is worse with the U.S. military now that Pete Hegseth's in control?
The numbers that you're talking about are numbers that I actually actively do not care about, because I think that we have an overly powerful military, and I think too much of our money goes to the military.
I know, but like, tell me one thing he's done, like numerically, like empirically, judge his performance, right? What is one thing that you could say, wow, the Pentagon is in a worst place because of Pete Hegseth?
I would say his inconsistent foreign policy, where he backs on statements depending on whether or not Donald Trump has heard them or not. Like in the beginning, we were talking about what happened with Ukraine and Russia. Like they've had disagreements already within the first couple months of the administration.
What? But first of all, the president is the commander in chief, so he executes the running of the military.
I'm just saying that
he's the operationals manager.
I understand that.
And so when you want a military, you have recruitment going up, you have war games going up, you have morale going up. You have, by the way, how about this? Do you agree that physical fitness standards for men and women should be the same in the U.S. military?
Yes.
Pete Hegseth is to thank for that. He has brought physical fitness standards to be the same for men and women. Lloyd Austin didn't do that. Mark Milley didn't do that. Do you also agree that we should not have like transgender pronoun type policing of our military members on the front lines of combat?
See, the thing is
Pete Hegseth has gotten rid of all that. But I'm saying you're trying to make a contention that he's not qualified. Okay. The military is in a much better place thanks to him only after 100 days, man. And that is the weakest example of all the ones that you have in the cabinet. You didn't address Rubio, you didn't address Noem, you didn't address Bessent, you didn't address Lutnick, you didn't address Bobby Kennedy, you didn't address all these people. So I have to ask you a question.
Continue. I can continue addressing people.
But every one of these departments is in a substantially and an empirically better place than it was.
Okay, including the Department of Education that's been completely defunded, and somebody who literally...
I'm so glad it's being defunded.
Okay, I get that you are, but guess what? Most Americans aren't, and that's the reality.
Wrong. Donald.
So, and that's the thing, guys, you know, that you see how he keeps tossing around and changing the topic because, you know, he doesn't have a rebuttal. He doesn't have a logical rebuttal other than screaming or, you know, spewing out hate. So instead he says, okay, well, you know, that didn't work. Let's talk about the Department of Education. That no, what happened to what you were originally talking about, right? And if we can gently guide and remind people that, hey, you know, this isn't what we were talking about. And most people that are guilty will do that. And I've, you know, been guilty before. So let's keep going.
Yeah. Just because you have a bunch of people here saying that doesn't mean...
Stop it.
Donald Trump ran on a pledge to get rid of the Department of Education. We can agree with that?
No,
yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. He won a popular vote. The vast majority of people voted knowing that the Department of Education was going to get eliminated.
If you truly believe that the vast majority of people were educated enough about the fact of Donald Trump's opinion...
voters are very smart. Now that's what we're going after.
Right.
No, I'm simply just
We're just them old hicks.
Insult the voters. They don't know.
I know a lot of people that voted for Trump who had absolutely no idea that he was going to be
They say we're not smart enough.
But I know that this is the truth. Not everybody, when they vote, looks at every single little thing and every little
do you, sir?
aspect, like you and I might, of why we would vote for somebody.
What?
Like we're both political commentators.
Right.
Bro, what are you talking about, man?
He's a Okay, guys, I'm back. I made it through the dog madness. We took them up on the hill. So, okay, we have a comment. Thank you. Sammy! I know I miss Charlie too. Should I play the rest of this video or just keep reading the book? What do you think? You guys, if you want to check this out, you can head on over to my YouTube channel, Wild and Wired Media, formerly known as West Virginia Wire. I mean, there's only about 10 more minutes. We'll go ahead and watch it. Why not? Let's see what Sammy says. Sammy, what do you think? Should we continue watching it? We'll watch a few more minutes and then we'll jump back into the book. Everybody's here for Killing Jesus, A History by Bill O'Reilly and Martin Dugard. So when the world goes mad, Regina reads. All right. And I did want to do a huge shout out to Spare Parts Universe. Guy, I want you to see my face. I'm looking all crazy right now, but nobody shit on you, man. You know you can call me anytime, right? And I think you're a good dude. I just I don't know what's going on. And the only way we will know is if we come to the table. And I'm always willing to come to the table with you. And I believe that Sparrow is as well. I can't speak for him. I can only speak for me. So if you want to speak to me or you want to find out about me through other people that may or not be speaking the truth, that's on you. I do care about you. I care about your brand. I hope you revive it. All right, let's keep going. So we'll watch this a few more minutes. Political
As a political
commentators. We
commentator,
got that.
I will argue more forcefully against you because now you're not just like a college kid sitting. Has Education America improved or gotten worse since the Department of Education was formed?
It has literally been 3 months. I have
No,
absolutely no idea.
since the Department of Education.
But you're a commentator, sir. You should be up on these facts,
now have
sir.
50 years of evidence. Has American education gotten better since we've had a Department of Education, or has it gotten worse?
I personally don't think that has to do with the Department of Education.
Well, when you've spent over $4.5 trillion with one federal department, and we have 30 schools in Chicago where a fifth grader cannot read at grade level. We have 35 schools in Baltimore where kids cannot do math or reading.
Oh yeah, and since this is a chillaxed Saturday, I did want to let you guys know that dang, Newsom keeps putting that old foot in his mouth. I've seen a couple of content creators cover it on YouTube. I intend to cover it as well as old Barty is endorsing Jasmine Crockett. I have no idea why she would be strongly endorsing a candidate that is running for a Senate seat in Texas when I believe Cardi B lives in New Jersey now. She left her people in New York, told everybody that's what she was doing. I'm leaving y'all. It's getting bad here in New York. And then she advocates for the candidates that are making things bad, but she's not there to know. So I guess get to know each other locally. So let's watch the rest of this video and then we'll jump back in. These stupid dogs, they're barking at my neighbor. He's outside. And I'm telling you, when I finish reading this chapter, that's where I'm headed, outside. It's about 60 degrees here in the hollers of Boone County, West Virginia. Oh, I got more comments. Let's see. Sammy said, everyone is mad. LOL. Yeah, I think I'm mad too sometimes. He would have been president. Yeah, I believe he would have too. He had a bright, bright future. So you guys, let's finish celebrating his life. Then we'll get on to celebrating Jesus, the man, Jesus of Nazareth, with Killing Jesus, a History. All right, thanks for joining. Sammy, you are so special. And I'm going to get to those messages, girl. Ooh, it's been crazy around here. And I thought when everybody's out of the house, let me just go ahead and do this and feel like I've accomplished some kind of work. Now let me find my stupid layout again. If I can. Oh dear. I can't stand when I do this. Oh, I know how to do it. Hold on. Let's do this. Stop.
At grade level.
Mm.
We cannot find a single school, not a single school in downtown Detroit, where by the time they graduate high school in the heavily black areas, that they're proficient in reading or math.
The nitty gritty of what I wanted to talk with Stephen about. There's a lot of questions about the investigation, where we are in the investigation. I want to be respectful to the FBI's process, but just know that we are on top of this, and the entire administration is trying to do as much as possible to find everything that we can about what led to this, about how we got here, and of course, ultimately, how an assassin took Charlie's life. I wanted to zoom out with Stephen a little bit and talk about all of the ways that we're trying to figure out how to prevent this festering violence that you see on the far left from becoming even more and more mainstream. And before I do that, Stephen, I want to do this with every guest because you're a friend of Charlie's. And one of the things I'm hoping that people get out of this is an understanding for the kind of guy that Charlie was, who he was. And so before I talk to you about what we're doing to try to prevent something like this from happening again, maybe you could just talk about why you love Charlie.
I've known Charlie for 10 years. He was a treasured friend. And, it's going to sound, he made you believe more in yourself, is the best way I could put that.
Right.
He was your biggest cheerleader. He would, if I was working on a hard project, an important executive order, a major new initiative, he would give me the strength and the focus to get it done.
That's right.
He was everybody's supporter, enthusiast, cheerleader, promoter. He made all of us better every single day. You know, the memory that I keep turning to is not a single memory. It's a period of a couple months after we won the election. And Charlie was in the campaign or the transition office every single day. And from dawn till dusk, volunteering his time to get into the weeds, the nitty gritty of government. And he was so damn excited. I mean, it really hurts to think about it. Right now.
While was fired from her job, and she was running the Trump campaign at the time.
Social media campaign.
It was a full-on campaign. And I remember Charlie Kirk called me and he said, this thing to take down Susie is an op, meaning it's an operation meant to discredit us, meant to make us less effective. And the reason he thought it was so important to protect you is because he had such great respect for you. He thought you were such an incredible part of the team. You were sort of the person that held all the chaos together operationally in the midst of that very intense campaign. And so Charlie was thinking, as he always did, a little ahead of the curve. He was asking himself, what are the problems that are out there so I can be 2 or 3 steps ahead? And he was fighting for you, maybe even before you realized that there was this thing. Against you.
And more was Turning Point. He had an army of good people who were motivated and passionate, and they delivered 110%. And I don't know that Charlie gets enough credit for that. That was a tactical to the campaign. We didn't have to pay for it. We didn't have to think about it. We didn't have to follow up after him. It was an immeasurable help. And most of those canvassers were some of the same young people that voted for the president and convinced their families.
Yeah.
So in many ways, it was really a pivotal effort.
What's something that you wish people knew about Charlie that they don't if they just watch his clips on X or YouTube or wherever?
Charlie, what you see is what you get. And I think that was true even from my first interactions with him on the 2020 presidential campaign. We would always be doing these fundraisers. Don Jr., Kimberly Guilfoyle, who was the Trump Victory Fight Chair, would host these big fundraising events. Charlie was always the first one to show up. And we would do these team events where we make calls all day. And you'd always want Charlie on your team.
Team event.
The guy would get there first, make as many calls, and he was the best fundraiser that we had. But, you know, we have not just the privilege of being Charlie's friend, but seeing what he's built through Turning Point. And it became personal to me when my sister, who we're from California, and, you know, is trying to find her way politically, and said, you know, I want to get involved. And we have the benefit of, we can go to any event, any rally, any intimate setting. And I said, you know what, there's the young women's event that he hosts in Dallas. I said, how about we go to Dallas? And one of the reasons why Charlie's events, I think, have been so successful, and why this organization has been so successful, is he makes these events approachable to the person that hasn't done politics before, hasn't been engaged, but is curious and thinks maybe something is going wrong with the country, maybe that there's a way to get involved that's not the big rallies, that's not, you know, standing in line for a long time, but just, and for my sister, it was for a conference room of girls listening to Taylor Swift music during breaks.
Team.
And kind of having approachable, but then also talking about life, talking about family, talking about, you know, at this event, you know, just relationships.
Fascination.
You know, to put things in perspective, you know, there are, I guess, currently 900 official chapters of Turning Point on college campuses. And that's, you know, when you get at about 900, 920, give or take, kids graduate, you got to kind of rebuild a few chapters. That's about what you're going to get to. And we have 1,200.
Wow.
For our big new initiative. We're really proud. when the high school chapters eclipsed the college chapter.
Yeah.
We were known as the college. And so there's about 23,000 high schools in America, 24,000. And I'll never forget this. This is a really funny moment a couple weeks ago in Aspen. And Charlie was like, we are going to have a Club America, which is the high school brand, on all
Thank God they fixed that sound.
all at 23,000. He didn't know the number. This is actually part of the story. We're going to have it on every high school campus in America. And the team is going, oh yeah. Charlie goes, we're going to have 35,000 high school chapters. And, he just threw out this big stretch goal, and we're like, oh, Charlie, and the whole team's freaking out because that's a huge lift. And, and he goes, they have to be on every single high school campus. And then I'm sitting next to him, I look at it and I Google it, and it's like, there's 23,000 high schools in America, Charlie. He goes, oh, okay, 23,000. We're going to be on every single one. And then the team got him eventually to say, well, okay, the big stretch goal is 10,000 million views or something. I think it made people feel good because we now have 37,000 applications to start chapters.
37,000 applications.
And, it almost brings a tear to your eye because that moment is like, we all remember, the whole team, we were all in a ballroom going through a presentation together, and he was adamant, we are going to be on every high school in America. And he's going to be proven right.
Oh gosh, guys, I was off stage. You probably didn't hear a word I said. No worries. So it's probably a good thing I was off stage. So you guys, we're gonna finish out with "Killing Jesus: A History" by Bill O'Reilly and Martin Dugard. If I can ever get my affairs in order, I am behind the camera today. Thank you for joining. Here we go. So we're picking up. Jesus has been arrested, has been beaten, falsely interrogated, and wasn't even taken to a facility. He was taken to the high priest Caiaphas's father's temple, or palace, his palace. So they tolerate the litany of lies, trusting that an accusation worthy of a death sentence will eventually be revealed in these proceedings, even if it takes all night. Technically, bearing false witness is a crime punishable by death, but the Sanhedrin is willing to conveniently sidestep that legality for tonight. Throughout the process, Jesus says nothing. Then comes the accusation for which the Sanhedrin is waiting. This fellow, swear 2 men loyal to Caiaphas, said, I am able to destroy the temple of God and rebuild it in 3 days. Caiaphas has been sitting, but now he suddenly rises and advances towards Jesus. To Caiaphas's utter fury, Jesus does not contest this allegation. One look at the Nazarene, and it is clear that his will should have been broken hours ago. The dried blood, the residue of spittle, the hematomas, and the swelling. Yet Jesus is placid and ever defiant. Are you not going to answer? Caiaphas demands with indignation. What is this testimony that these men are bringing against you? Jesus remains silent. He can see the question forming on Caiaphas's lips. It is the query to which everyone in the room wants an answer. Indeed, it is the one question that hundreds of thousands here in Jerusalem also want answered. But even as Jesus anticipates what Caiaphas is about to ask next, he also realizes that there is no proper response. His death is imminent, no matter what he says. I charge you under oath, fumes Caiaphas, by the living God, tell us if you are the Christ, the Son of God. Silence. Outside, the first birds of morning are stirring. So now remember, they kept him up all night, beat him, passed him around. Conversations can be heard from beyond the courtroom. But in this public room where Caiaphas usually socializes and privately conducts official temple business, no one utters so much as a syllable as they anxiously await Jesus' decision. Will he finally speak? Jesus does answer. If I tell you, you will not believe me. And if I asked you, you would not answer. But from now on, the Son of Man will be seated at the right hand of the mighty God. Are you the Son of God? The priests demand. Yes, he tells them. It is as you say. Then Jesus looks straight at Caiaphas. You will see the Son of Man seated at the right hand of the power and coming with the clouds of heaven. Caiaphas grabs the front of his own tunic and wrenches the expensive fabric, tearing it down from his chest. Under normal circumstances, high priests are forbidden to display anger in such a manner. But these are not normal circumstances. For Jesus is implying nothing less than that Caiaphas is an enemy of God. He has spoken blasphemy, the high priest tells the Sanhedrin. Why do we need any more witnesses? Look, now you have heard the blasphemy. What do you think? Religious law says that each member of the Sanhedrin must cast a vote when passing sentence. But now there is no vote. The verdict is passed by simple consensus. The only voices of dissent come from Nicodemus and a wealthy Sadducee named Joseph of Arimathea. Let me wet my whistle, be right back, guys. And I don't think I'm glitching. All right, guys, moving right along. So they've, it's the highest crime, and so they're going to convict him of blasphemy, and then the Sanhedrin. Remember, it was the Sanhedrin council that ultimately sentenced Jesus to death for the crime of blasphemy. And the only people that came forward and tried to speak, I guess, on his behalf were Nicodemus, and a wealthy Sadducee named Joseph of Arimathea. The sun is rising. Jesus has been convicted of blasphemy and sentenced to death. The next step is as easy or as difficult as convincing Pontius Pilate to order his Roman executioners to do the deed. Now, this is here where it gets interesting. So the asterisk mark was, let me see if I can find it. Thought I just saw it. But anyway, there's a reference to a combination of Daniel chapter 7, verse 13 and Psalm 110, verse 1. All right, let's keep going, guys. We only have a few pages left, I think. Oh my gosh, this is a long chapter. So across Jerusalem in the Antonia fortress, the dozen men who comprise the Roman death squad sit down to Iantaculum, their big meal of the day. They will most likely not be able to get back to the barracks for the light midday prandium So they enjoy their large portion of porridge. It is often served with cheese and honey to make it even more filling and to provide energy for the hard labor to come. Bread, weak beer, and red wine are spread out on the long communal table. Now, remember, we're getting into Barabbas, right? And why do they always choose Barabbas over Jesus? I'll never know. Barabbas and his cohorts, already condemned to death, are being held not far away in the fortress's stone dungeons. In time, they will be taken into the courtyard for a scourging, or you guys, I am terrible with these Latin words and stuff. Verberatio, as it is known by the Romans or Greek or whatever that is. Low scourging posts are permanently positioned there for this task. Affixed to the top of each post is a metal ring. Each condemned man will be brought forth with his hands tied. The executioners will strip him of his clothing and then force him to his knees before binding his hands over his head to the metal ring. The wrists will then also be shackled to the ring. This locks the body in position, preventing any squirming or other attempts to dodge the blows of the flagellum. Even before the first lash is laid against a man's back, it is common for the victim to tense every muscle in his body and grit his teeth against the horrible pain that will soon be inflicted. You guys, this is very, very, very graphic stuff. Disclaimer. I'm sorry. You guys, we are on YouTube. So this is a book by Bill O'Reilly and Martin Dugard. It is very graphic. I do have the age set to 18 and above because, we talk about some real stuff. And it's not my decision what parents choose or choose not to let their children watch or consume. All right, let's keep going. The key to the executioner's art is not how hard they whip a man, but the effort with which they yank the whip's metal and bone-flecked tendrils away from the flesh after each blow. So just imagine that, it's tearing his flesh away. For this is when the primary damage to the body is done. To prove themselves superior, the professional killers, now casually eating their morning meal, strive to grip the wooden handle of the flagellum a little harder than their peers and lean into a lash with just a bit more strength. So it sounds like they're competing with each other, who can inflict the most damage. Sport. So, sorry about the dogs. If they do their jobs exceptionally well, they might expose the victim's internal organs. As the historian Eusebius will write of the spectacle, quote, bystanders were struck with amazement when they saw them lacerated with the scourges even to the innermost veins and arteries, so that the hidden inward parts of the body, both their bowels and their members, were exposed to view. End quote. I know this is hard to hear, but I mean, dang, if we're going to worship Jesus, we need to really think about what he went through. Yet, as horrific as the process of lashing might be, it is just the start of the agony. For the verberatio is a mere prelude to crucifixion. The soldiers finished their porridge and pushed back from the table. Time to go to work. The condemned Jesus is marched to the palace of Pontius Pilate. So here's where it gets really, really interesting when Pontius Pilate comes, because he has to, keep the Roman emperor happy. He can't have an uprising. He has to weigh out what will happen if he sanctions the death of Jesus, right? So, and he's pretty strategic as well. So listen up, because I think it's very interesting how he handled the situation. And it's almost like he was like, you're not putting this on me. I'm not taking this for you. And I mean, this is just crazy. And the pure hatred of the man, just the pure hatred of someone, and to go to these lengths. So let's keep going. The sound of his sandals and those of the high priests and temple guards who surround him on all sides echo off the cobblestones. It is not yet 7 a.m., and Jerusalem is just waking up. The path takes Jesus past the small It's barracks. Let's see. I'm not even going to attempt the word. It's like Stratopedon or blah, 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 where a garrison of palace soldiers grimly watches the procession and then winds past the lavish formal garden Herod the Great constructed so long ago, with its ponds, groves of trees, and quiet walkways from which doves can be seen alongside small streams. Palace walls form the northern boundary of the garden, and now Jesus is marched along those walls to the front gate, where soldiers take their 4-hour guard shift. Caiaphas demands an immediate audience with Pilate. He stands outside the gates with Jesus, the temple guard, and the entire Sanhedrin. But since the high priest cannot enter a Gentile residence so close to Passover or risk becoming unclean and unable to eat the sacred meal, he requests that Pilate come down to the gate. Now, I don't know. I mean, Pilate's a pretty prideful man. I don't think that he'll much appreciate anyone demanding his presence, and especially in his own home. So I don't know. Let's see what happens. It is a gross violation of their formal relationship. But surely Pilate will understand. The palace is enormous. Now remember, why would Caiaphas think that Pilate would ever understand? Why would he ever think that? Because they don't even let him keep his own ceremonial garb for the Passover or any other ritual that the Jewish people have and refuse to stop doing. The palace is enormous, a fortified square measuring 140 meters from south to north. It consists of 2 lavish wings, one named the Caesareum and the other Agrippium. Towers rise at intervals along its walls, and columned courtyards provide an open space. At the south end, just on the other side of the palace walls, is a special courtyard known as the Praetorium, where pronouncements, trials, and other public gatherings can take place. So it takes a while to get word to Pilate and for the prefect. Let me start this over. Sorry, guys. Hold on one second. Forgive me. So it takes a while to get word to Pilate and for the prefect to dress and make his way down to the gate. He could not have been pleased to be faced with the sight of temple guards, lavishly dressed priests, and a prisoner who was clearly in advanced state of physical suffering. What charges are you bringing against this man? Pilate asks gruffly. Caiaphas has been dreading this moment, for while he wants the Romans to kill Jesus, the charge of blasphemy is a Jewish offense. Rome could not care less about it, and Pilate, with his intolerance for the Jews, is not the sort to risk his career by allowing Jewish law to dictate whom he executes. So there we go again. Why did Caiaphas ever think that he could present himself and this ridiculous case against Jesus of Nazareth, right? The Romans don't even honor Jewish law, Jewish religion, any of that. So why would Pontius Pilate, make this his problem? I don't know. Let's find out. If he were not a criminal, would we have handed him over to you? Caiaphas replies, avoiding the question. Pilate is not easily swayed. Take him yourselves and judge him by your own law. But we have no right to execute anyone, Caiaphas responds. I find no basis for a charge against this man, Pilate replies. Another of the priests speaks up. He stirs up people all over Judea by his teaching. He started in Galilee and has come all the way here. He's a Galilean? Pilate demands. In this simple question, he sees a way out of this mess. The Sanhedrin is clearly luring him into a political trap. But if Jesus is a Galilean, this this matter is better suited for Herod Antipas. And y'all remember what happened? They just executed John the Baptist. The Sanhedrin Council gave the go ahead for the arrest of Jesus. They slapped him around, beat him up. Then they took him to Pontius Pilate, a Roman official that they are subservient to. For whatever reason, they thought that Pontius Pilate might say, yeah, let's do this, which would not bode well for him with the powers that be of the Roman Empire. And remember, he was seeking to advance politically himself. So he had to find a way out of this situation. He wasn't going to be the one to bow down to any kind of Jewish law. They had no evidence of him breaking any type of Roman law, just their suspicion that he was inciting some sort of violence, whatever. All right, let's continue on. So, so now he finds out that Jesus is Galilean. Let me do something real quick. I want to check my sound. I'm always freaking out about my sound. One moment. All right, we're good. We're good. I just checked it. Okay, let's get through this chapter and then I'm going to close out, go outside and play with the dogs and try to train this pit bull. All right. So, Caiaphas didn't really think this all the way through. He couldn't have. So he's demanding, hey, this man's Galilean. This is out of my jurisdiction. He didn't break any Roman laws. If this is a Jewish law that he broke, he's Galilean. Then, why aren't you taking him to his jurisdiction or whatever? So let's see how Herod Antipas handles the situation. Now, remember, he just ordered the execution of John the Baptist, which remember, he found John the Baptist an interesting man. He did not want to do that, yet he trapped himself up. His wife used her daughter to entreat and entice him by dancing for him. And then he said loudly and proudly in front of everyone that he would give her anything that her heart desired, up to half of his kingdom. And she chose the head of John the Baptist at her mother's behest, which I thought that was a very unwise choice. But so now Jesus is about to go there, and they've all wondered, some of them wondered if John the Baptist was actually the Messiah himself, and he continued to tell them, no, I'm merely here to pave the way, and he did fulfill the prophecy. So let's continue on. My nose is starting to stuff up. So, wow. Yeah, so Galilee is the tetrarch's jurisdiction. So let's back up a little bit. But if Jesus is a Galilean, this matter is better suited for Herod Antipas. Galilee is the tetrarch's jurisdiction, and Antipas is staying in a palace just a few blocks away. So they're all in town for the festivals and all of that. Hold on. Pilate refuses to accept custody of Jesus. He dismisses the entire gathering and orders Jesus to be bound over to Antipas. Once again, Jesus is marched through the early dawn streets of Upper Jerusalem. There is no sign of the peasant pilgrims from Galilee or of any of the other poor classes of Jews, for they have no reason to be wandering through this wealthy neighborhood at such an early hour. So there we go. We've got the class separation and all of that. Slaves can't be seen sweeping the porches of their masters' homes, while inside the wealthy take their morning meal. But if Pilate thinks he has escaped from Caiaphas' snare, he is wrong. For soon the entire temple group, including Jesus, returns. Herod Antipas was most delighted to finally meet the Nazarene and spent a short time taking the measure of him. The tetrarch even requested a miracle for his personal amusement. Antipas has no fear of Caiaphas or the high priests, for they have no power over him. So even as they launched volley after volley of accusation about Jesus, hoping to swing the tetrarchs over to their side, Antipas refused to listen. Getting pulled into a power struggle between the temple and Rome is most unwise. Besides, he is still haunted by the death of John the Baptist and the predictions by many that it will bring down his kingdom. The last thing Antipas needs is the blood of another holy man on his hands. Even though Jesus refused to perform a miracle, Antipas saw no reason to condemn him to death. He let his soldiers have their fun, allowing them to taunt the Nazarene and ridicule him by questioning his royalty before placing an old military mantle on the prisoner's shoulders. It was purple, the color of kings. Now, once again, Pilate stands at his palace gates debating what to do about Jesus. He has underestimated Antipas, forgetting that the tetrarch was raised in a household where treachery and guile were as routine as breathing. Strangely, Pilate sees Antipas's decision as a quiet show of solidarity with him, for Antipas, a Jew, has clearly chosen to back Rome instead of the temple priests. Pilate and Antipas were enemies until now, but they will count each other as friends from this day forward. But Pilate must still deal with the wily Caiaphas, who has been coached in palace intrigue by Annas and again stands before him. So he's like, oh man, would this problem ever go away? I can't deal with this right now, man. I'm trying to move forward. This is a thorn in my side. He thought he'd be slick and pass it off to Herod Antipas, and Herod Antipas had a nice conversation, of course, mocked Jesus and all of that, but he didn't want the blood of, like they said in their words, another holy man on his hands. One moment, please. All right, guys, we're almost done with this. So, wow, Pilate is running out of options. Clearly, he cannot order the Jews to release Jesus, for that would be interfering in their religious law. And Emperor Tiberius has made it quite clear that Roman governors cannot do this. One moment, dogs. All right, guys, let's keep going. So Pilate is running out of options. Clearly, like they said, he can't order this. He can't do this. He can't have his hands on this. Still, he doesn't have to accept the prisoner. He could order that Caiaphas send Jesus over to the Antonia fortress there to be held until after Passover. Remember, this is the very thing they do not want. They want this done so they can enjoy the Passover celebrations, because, people are bound to certain laws. I think they think there's less of an uprising, which I don't know why they would think that. Let's keep going. So he's in a mess. So he could order that Caiaphas send Jesus over to the Antonia fortress there to be held until after Passover, perhaps long after Passover, when Pilate has already left town. Yeah, he wants nothing to do with this. Above all, Pontius Pilate does not want trouble. So he finally sends Caiaphas on his way and reluctantly accepts custody of the Nazarene. The fate of Jesus is now in the hands of Rome. Pontius Pilate is curious. Are you the king of Jews? Are you the king of the Jews? He asks Jesus. The governor is seated on a throne of judgment, looking down upon an open air courtyard paved with flagstones. A small audience watches. Pilate has chosen this location for many reasons. It is far removed from the center of the palace, near where his small personal garrison is housed. The courtyard is not actually in the palace, but adjacent to it. Its unique architecture allows Pilate to address his subjects from an elevated position while also providing him a private entrance where he can come and go, and where prisoners such as Jesus can be led out and tried, then quietly walk back to the prison cells. Another advantage to the location at the outer edge of the palace grounds is that it's not actually inside the residence, and so Jews are permitted to enter on the eve of Passover. Hence, the presence of temple priests and Caiaphas's disciples who are carefully monitoring the proceedings for their leader. Oh, that's the heater. Sorry if you guys hear a white noise in the back. All right, so where did we leave off? They are there to ensure that the sentence passed by Caiaphas and the Pharisees is carried out. Is that your own idea, or did others talk to you about me? Jesus asks in return. Am I a Jew? Pilate asks. It was your people and your chief priests who handed you over to me. What is it you have done? My kingdom is not of this world. If it were, my servants would fight to prevent my arrests, but now my kingdom is from another place. You are a king, then, says an amused Pilate. This is good news for the governor, for by declaring himself to be sovereign, Jesus has now committed a crime against Rome and the emperor. He is now a serious threat to public order. Whatever happens next can now be justified. So it can be justified in the Roman court of law because he said that he's a king, not of this world. You know, he's pronouncing himself sovereign. And remember, the Romans at this time, they ruled with an absolute power. They allowed no dissent in any of the regions, and the history shows that they had conquered 3/4 of the known world at that time. Wow, wow, wow. So you are right in saying I am a king. In fact, for this reason, I am born, and for this reason, I came into the world to testify to the truth. Everyone on the side of the truth listens to me, Jesus responds. What is truth? Pilate asks, now fascinated by Jesus. But if the Roman was expecting an answer to that question, he is disappointed as Jesus stands mute. Pilate knows that preaching is not a crime unless rebellion against Rome is a theme of that preaching. But any dissension from the powerful Sanhedrin will not help Pilate with Tiberius. So he turns his attention from Jesus to the disciples of the Jewish temple who fill the courtyard. From his lofty perch, he can look down upon the group, measuring their reaction. It is customary for the Roman prefect to release a prisoner at the time of Passover. So now we do have an asterisk mark. I am going to read it. So these are all biblical, backing up to the secular book. So it is quoted in scripture: Matthew chapter 27, verse 15, Mark chapter 15, verse 6, Luke chapter 23, verse 17, and John chapter 18, verse 39. So let's keep it moving. So it is customary for the Roman prefect to release a prisoner at the time of Passover. So now this is where we go back to, they always choose Barabbas over Jesus. We're about to find out who Barabbas is. If you know who Barabbas is, put it in the comment section. I just looked up. Jesus never died. He moved on. I agree. I could not agree with you more. That's beautiful. Thank you for commenting, Adam. Thanks for coming through. All right, let me clear my whistle and let me take a sip and then we'll keep going. All right, so so Pilate can finally, and I think personally he doesn't want to be responsible for putting that sentence on Jesus, right? So let's see how he navigates the situation. He's a wily one himself, so is Caiaphas. So it is customary for the Roman prefect to release a prisoner at the time of Passover. Now, Pilate finds a simple solution to ease out of this politically volatile situation. He will give the crowd a choice between releasing the peaceful Jesus or the horrific Barabbas, a terrorist and murderer whose crimes truly deserve punishment. Let's think about that for a second, guys. Let's think about what's going on in the world today, and especially here in the United States. I can't figure out why someone would be protesting the release for a known convicted murderer, someone who harms children, all of that. That's unacceptable. That's unacceptable. So let's keep going. So he's going to give the people a choice, right? It's customary during Passover, they can choose a prisoner to be released. And you would think it would be a prisoner of a good resolve, a prisoner that hasn't really committed any acts of violence. But no, he says, okay, we can release now Pilate finds a simple solution to ease out of this politically volatile situation. He will give the crowd a choice between releasing the peaceful Jesus or the horrific Barabbas, a terrorist and murderer whose crimes truly deserve punishment. Do you want me to release the King of the Jews? Pilate asks the crowd. The response surprises him, for Pilate is not aware that the people he is speaking to have been ordered by the high priests and religious elders to make sure that Jesus is executed. Dang. It is not the Jewish pilgrims who want Jesus dead, nor most of the residents of Jerusalem. No, it is a small handful of men who enrich themselves through the temple. To them, a man who speaks the truth is far more dangerous than a mass murderer. Let that sink in. Give us Barabbas, they shout back. At the same time that Jesus is being judged, the business of Passover begins in the temple courts. Despite their sleepless night, Caiaphas and the other priests cannot afford the luxury of a morning's rest. Soon they walk across the bridge connecting the upper city with the temple and prepare to go about their day. Already, long lines of pilgrims are forming, and with them grows the incessant bleating of young male lambs. The first sacrifices will take place at noon, in keeping with the law. Rows of priests are now assembling, some carrying silver bowls and others gold. These are for catching the blood of the lamb as its throat is slit. The bowls are then carried to the altar and the blood poured in sacrifice. So you guys, all of this stuff that he's talking about is biblically referenced. You can find it in the book of Exodus, Numbers, Chronicles, all of that. So let's keep going. A Levite choir is gathering as well, along with men who will honor this great day with blasts from their silver trumpets. Pontius Pilate does not care a whit about what is happening inside the temple. The focus of his attention is the problem still standing before him. The Roman governor does not believe that executing such a popular figure as Jesus is a wise decision. Any unrest among the people following an execution of this sort would certainly be reported to Tiberius, and any fallout laid at the feet of Pilate. So rather than crucify Jesus, Pilate sentences the Nazarene to barbaratio. Perhaps that will appease the Sanhedrin. The Roman governor calls the high priests and church elders together to announce this decision. You brought me this man as one who was inciting the people to rebellion. I have examined him in your presence and found no basis for your charges against him. Neither has Herod, for he sent him back to us. As you can see, he has done nothing to deserve death. Therefore, I will punish him and release him. Within moments, the Nazarene is stripped and led into the praetorium courtyard. The scourging pole awaits. You guys, that's it for chapter 17 of Killing Jesus. You guys, I'm not sure when we'll pick up chapter 18. This is just something I kind of leisurely do. I usually do it exclusively on the X platform. Today, I thought hold on a second. Today, I thought let's just go ahead and stream across YouTube, do some testing. You guys, we've got some exciting news coming up. We've got some target dates that we're working on. So if you could save the date for April 6th, it's a very special date for me, April 6th. What day is that on? I'll have to look and see. But anyway, just bookmark April 6th. It'll probably be around evening time. We're going to be announcing Regina's rebrand reveal. If you guys have already noticed, I've started slowly changing things. We were West Virginia Wire. We're now Wild and Wired Media. Sorry, I've got a little itch in my throat. Anyway, so we will be getting a lot more content out to you, and it'll be different stuff like we started. And I think, now that I've learned more on this journey, we've been on YouTube for 2 years, X platform going on 3. Rumble, I started them all at the same time. But anyway, that's all I got today, you guys. I'm getting outside. My phone is still off. You guys, if you're trying to reach me, please be patient with me. Show me some grace. I will get back to you. And as always, we thank you for joining us. My name is Regina Connell. Today, When the World Goes Mad, Regina reads, and we read Killing Jesus, A History by Bill O'Reilly and Martin Dugard. We finished out chapter 17. There's 21 chapters. So you guys, thanks for joining, and we will catch you on the flip-flop. See you later.
Got the world on my mind. Ain't no time to play. Chasing dreams, running fast, feeling no delay. We're the watchdogs, always watching what they say. Eyes wide open, we're taking what's ours. Breaking through the silence, aiming for the stars. The grind don't stop, we're living in the scars. On Watchdog Wednesday, we're raising the bars.